Hey everyone, Ruben here, Kindred Dog PDX. I have two cameras going here, so you might see me switching from one to the next. I tried to do my best to get them to come together. But considering as we did not have any Ask Me Anything questions, I'm opting for a question of the day, or maybe it's a question of the week. I haven't decided yet. But you know, these questions here, just to preface this, is they're just off the cuff, right? We get questions all the time, and I'm going to do my best to just answer it and providing some information that I would do to address this situation. So here we go. This is going to be number 26, and here is the question. So I have a black lab blue heeler mix who is 2 years old. My dog has never left a mark on another dog, but has definitely started many fights. She is food aggressive and very territorial. She is also aggressive towards children, and it seems to be getting increasingly worse. Just this morning, my boyfriend's dog was chewing a bone on the couch. My dog was on the floor watching. I could tell by the look on her face that she was feeling aggressive. So to avoid any situation, I took the bone from my boyfriend's dog and put it up on the table where neither of them could reach it. Within seconds, my dog attacked the poor little guy. There was no blood or bite marks, but he was very shaken up. I put my dog on her back, and she knew she was in trouble, but I'm not sure how to really correct the problem. She has never attacked a child, but she scares them. If I'm walking with her and a kid runs by playfully, she goes into full-on attack mode. I've had her since she was a pup, and I know she hasn't had any traumatic instances with kids. I'm just not sure where this is coming from. I own a gallery, and I would love to bring her to work with me, but I don't feel safe with her there if another dog or child comes in. So I really need to get to the bottom of this. I would love to learn the right ways to deal with this issue, i.e. punishment and prevention. I would also love to see her get along with children and other dogs and share her territory a bit better. She is a really sweet, smart, and loving dog, and it hurts me to see her coming off to others as a mean or dangerous dog. I don't want this issue to escalate. I know as a blue heeler, she has certain working instincts, and I would like to learn how to fulfill those instincts in a positive way. Okay, so there's definitely a lot to this question. You know, something that I don't think gets brought up enough, but it slightly mentions it here. I've had her since she was a pup, and I know she hasn't had any traumatic instances with kids, right? So something that people want to bring up is like, oh, maybe they were abused or something like that. And then like, here's a situation where we have a dog who gets aggressive around kids, but has never had a traumatic instance around kids. This is really where we need to take a look at what the dog's whole day looks like and what our interactions look like with the dog. Is there a 10 in affection and a 10 in rules, boundaries, corrections, like leadership? I mean, if that is out of balance, if it's a 10 in affection, the dog is sleeping in the bed with us, and we just snuggle on them all day, but we don't share valuable information, rules, structure, boundaries, consequences for poor choices. All of this stuff back in the day when the dog was a little puppy, corrections aren't these mind-blowing things. It's just, how do we create respect in the dog, right? And that can be super simple with just little things like walking well on the leash, creating a boundary there, creating rules there. What do they do inside the house, right? So taking a look and really examining that equation between you and your dog, what does that look like? Are you a 10 in affection and a 10 in rules, boundaries, consequences for poor choices? And if you're not, that's how a lot of this stuff can start. It creates entitlement in a dog. Okay, so aside from that, you've got a dog here who's food aggressive, very territorial. Definitely training first off is going to really help out. So really it's like, reading this, yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on, but the first thing that we're going to want to be looking at is getting some good training on board, right? So we're going to want to teach the dog place command, teach him how to sit, teach him how to down, teach him how to recall, You know, do all this stuff on leash and do all this stuff off leash, because it's going to give you a lot of control and it's going to slow the dog down. Okay. Then when that training is on board, then you can work on things like the out command, you know, and if the dog gets something that they're not supposed to have, you can tell them out and they can move away from it. You know, the instance with the dog chewing the bone on the couch and then your dog is like next to it and you move the bone away, like the dog can still resource guard that because of the state of mind that they're in. So we want to put that dog on place, remove them from that. And if they're on place and they start to give that dog some stink eye action, we can address that via the e-collar, right? But again, it all comes back to let's get some good training on board, and then we can start to sort out some of these other issues. You know, getting reactive on the walk. Again, like let's get a good walk on board, and then we can see where we're at. You know, a lot of this, it seems like a mountain of issues, you know, and the only way to climb the mountain is you got to train for the mountain, right? So you got to like, okay, I'm going to train myself to do this. I'm going to start walking more. I'm going to like maybe go take a rock climbing class so I can start learning some of these fundamentals. And then I'm going to take a, you know, depending on what kind of mountain you're climbing, you know, maybe it's an ice mountain or something, you know, like you're going to climb Rainier, you know, you got to take some classes, you got to figure some stuff out. So one by one, let's start taking care of some of these issues, right? And like just examine your dog and see where they're at. Can they walk well on the leash? If they can't, cool, let's start there. Can they hold a place? If they can't, let's start there. You know, those are the things that we're going to want to get on board, because that's just going to give us a clear picture of where the dog is at. Okay. And then it's just really like applying that stuff in other areas. You know, you want to take your dog to work, great. Do they need to be in the front area where people are coming and going? No, they can stay in your office on place while you do client interactions, right? Like the dog doesn't need to be friends with these things. It just needs to coexist, and they can coexist quietly in the back room. Maybe you kennel them up in the back room, right? Like, can your dog go in the kennel? If they can't go in the kennel, then we got to start there too, right? Because that's another rule, that's another boundary. So there's going to be management on board, right? You know, as far as, I wouldn't recommend rolling your dog over. That's a good way to get bit. That's an old school tactic. And a lot of the times we just hear about people getting bit, so we don't usually advise that. And then let's see here, you know, you also want to know how to fulfill her instincts as a blue heeler. It's structure, rules, boundaries, and structure. I have a blue heeler and she thrives on structure. She came to me because she was biting people and going after dogs and literally snapping and lunging at people on the walk. And through rules, boundaries, consequences for poor choices, she doesn't do that stuff anymore. She's a happy dog. She gets along great with other dogs. We use her in training all the time. But I also don't have this expectation of her to be this happy-go-lucky dog that just goes and meets everybody. That's just not her personality as a dog. She can coexist and she can mingle with people, but she's not one to like really seek attention from other folks. She's very much she's very centered towards me, her handler, right? And I'm okay with that, right? But I don't want her lunging at people on the walks, which she doesn't do. You know, she's got to be quiet in her kennel. She's got to walk well with me. She's got to listen to me. She's got to come when I call her. You know, all of these things in place have created the dog that we have now. And so, yeah, reading this, it's, you know, as we just want to get some good training on board. You know, it's that's really where we always start. Get some good training on board, slow the dog down, get some good tools so that you can communicate to the dog. You know, and then as you do that stuff, you're going to see a different dog. And then, you can do things like play tug with them, and because that fulfills instincts. You can do nose work, that fulfills instincts. Minus taking her to a ranch where she can herd cattle, that can fulfill instincts, if you don't have access to that. Like, I don't really have access to that with my dog, and so we do things like play tug, but she's got to out the toy, and like we keep toys separate from the other dogs. It's like we just play. If I'm going to bring a toy out, I just play with her one-on-one with that toy, because that's an engagement exercise for us to do together, right? A lot of times I think folks just have this idea that dogs need to share things, and it's like, no, my brother's dog and her, they play fine without those things involved, and if we do bring those things in, we're really just kind of pushing the boundaries, and we're kind of setting them up to fail, where something could happen, because that toy could be a resource, and it could turn an otherwise really fun and playful play session into a potential dog fight, and we don't want that, right? So anyways, I would say that would be my best answer. Let's get some good training on board, and then we can see where we're at. So this is question number 26. This here is on the IG stories. This one here we are going to have on YouTube, number 26. And as always, if you all find this valuable, please share it. That way other people can benefit from it. Like us on YouTube. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Like us on Facebook. Follow us on Instagram. We're on LinkedIn. Check all those things off so that you can stay up to date on what it is that we're doing. So again, subscribe, and subscribe. All right? I hope you all enjoy the rest of the evening. I'm about to get out of here. Going to go eat some food. I am incredibly hungry after training. So yeah, I hope you all enjoy the evening, and we will talk to you later. Bye.